Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that came out in the New York Times, November 18th, 2018. China rules. They didn't like the West playbook, so they wrote their own. There's no doubt that China is on the move for world domination. They want to topple the West and take over running the world. China has had this ball in motion, ladies and gentlemen, since the 1980s. And really, America is at fault because you gave your whole damn economy to China by moving jobs over there back in the 80s, all the way up until now. And companies are still moving to China from America, ladies and gentlemen. This is still happening. So you help China create a powerful economy by giving them all of your jobs, because these folks that own these businesses are too stingy to pay Americans a decent wage. So what they do is they take these jobs over to China. Well, they'll work for $3 a day. And that's what they want to pay. So America took part in helping China to build themselves up economically by moving all of these businesses over there. And see, ladies and gentlemen, every single politician plays the American people election time. Oh, we're going to bring jobs back. They know they're lying to you. They're not bringing those jobs back. Why should they bring a job back and pay you $24 an hour when they can pay some Chinese person $3 a day? It ain't going to happen. I don't care how much you keep crying to presidents, senators, Congress people about jobs. Those jobs are never coming back here. And you would think people would know that by now, but every election cycle, they're going to get up and start whining about jobs that never is going to happen. It's not going to happen. You gave your jobs away. I remember even talking to people about this years ago. Oh, you know what they were saying, y'all? Oh, I don't care about that. Oh, I don't care about that. But now they do. Here we are in 2018. Now they do. The same people that were saying they didn't care are the same ones now when Trump was running for office were whining and hooping and hollering about jobs. That is because you have the inability to see what's right in front of you. You never see the impact of what it's really going to have. Now we're here at this point in time and you want to scream about jobs. Are you kidding me? You should have saw this coming decades ago. I sure did. Why didn't you see it? And you got a high IQ. But now China is getting ready to dominate your ass like a bunch of bitch boys. So now you have the land that failed to fail. China is on the move. I was reading an article just a week ago how China is pouring into South America now, setting up homes, setting up their shop, and getting ready to take it over, taking over Africa, making an attempt to take Africa over. China is everywhere. They're down in the islands, and we know how much they are taking over Jamaica. They're all over the islands. But see, America has gotten so comfortable as a superpower, they don't realize they're being challenged by the very same people that you moved your jobs to. Isn't that ironic? Boy, you deserve what's coming your way. Do I think this is a good thing? Hell no. Hell no. Okay, because China got the same level of racism in them as the West. So no, anytime a people like this is rising, it's not a good thing for anyone. The West was sure the Chinese approach would not work. It just had to wait. It's still waiting. In the uncertain years after Mao's death, long before China became an industrial juggernaut, before the Communist Party went on a winning streak that would reshape the world, a group of economic students gathered at a mountain retreat outside Shanghai. There, in the bamboo forests of Mogan Sha, the young scholars grapple with a pressing question: how could China catch up with the West? Well, in a sense, they already have. That's no longer a question. It was autumn of 1984. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can see China has planned this whole thing out decades ago, that they were going to try to take world domination away from the West. And on the other side of the world, Ronald Reagan was promising morning again in America. China, meanwhile, was recovering from decades of political and economic turmoil. So China did struggle at a third world level for a long time. They did. They had nothing. They were very poor. China was a very poor country for a very long time. But now that they have had all of this economic growth, especially over the last 4 decades, they are now a very progressive nation on earth, probably the most progressive nation on earth. Right up there with Africa. Africa's definitely on the move. They're not having the economic problems that many of these other countries have. A lot of the countries that you are seeing as poor, ladies and gentlemen, those countries are improving now. You know, despite all of the garbage they want to tell you in this country about Africa, Africa's growth is really happening. You know, it's really happening. And see, that's why there's such a major drive of Russia, China, America. I mean, all of these nations are now in Africa. They are literally fighting over Africa because you know the saying, he who rules Africa rules the world. They are all in there fighting over Africa. If Africa was not worth anything, like these folks have tried to tell us, then you would not see the level of fighting that you see. And China right now is in the forefront of that fight. They are putting police stations in Africa. They are putting their military there. They are running the ports. They are running all kinds of businesses in Africa. They are literally trying to overrun Africa. And the US sees this, and this is why now you see the US stepping forward, trying to make deals with China, things they would never have made those kind of deals before. See, China is building up Africa. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, America's offering to do things in the infrastructure. Why didn't you do that before? You've been in there for centuries. Why didn't you offer to do that before? No, because now you see how China is really moving into Africa. So now America's getting shook up over it. You know, that's why Melania went over there, y'all, to make the American presence seen over in Africa. They're all fighting for it. What they tried to tell us is worthless. No, the land that your asses are on is worthless. Africa got all of the resources. You wouldn't be in there if that land didn't have nothing to give. Be real. The land your asses are sitting on in America and Europe and Australia, y'all don't have nothing. You're the shithole. Okay, so China is on the move. So the students and researchers attending the Academy Symposium of Middle Age and Young Economists wanted to unleash market forces, but worried about crashing the economy. and alarming the party, bureaucrats, and ideologues who controlled it. So China was making this domination happen as early as 1984. Late one night, they reached a consensus. Factories should meet state quotas, but sell anything extra they made at any price they chose. It was a clever, quietly radical proposal to undercut the planned economy. And it intrigued a young party official in the room who had no background in economics. As they were discussing the problem, I didn't say anything at all, recall Zhu Jing'an, now 76 and retired. I was thinking, how do we make this work? So they're talking about how do they make their plans to dominate work. The Chinese economy has grown so far for so long now that it is easy to forget how unlikely its metamorphosis into a global powerhouse was, how much of its ascent was improvised and born of desperation. See, China now leads the world in the number of homeowners, internet users, college graduates, and by some counts, billionaires. So China is leading the world in all of those things now. They are. And you know what the West did? They kicked their feet up on the table and said, nobody can topple us. We're number one. We're number one. And these folks came right up on you, and they're on your heels now, getting ready to pass you. And personally, ladies and gentlemen, I think they have already passed, but they don't want to say anything because you know how ultra sensitive Americans are. And they are. They're a very overly sensitive group of people over here. China is less worried about catching up to the West. Instead, it wonders how to pull ahead. The country leads the world in the number of internet users and college graduates. It is now working to land a person on the moon. Gone are the days when the state decide where everyone worked and what every factory made. The world thought it would change China, but China's success has been so spectacular that it has changed the world. And ladies and gentlemen, they are going to continue to forge ahead as we have seen them do. And we have heard nothing from how America's going to counter it. But you know why, ladies and gentlemen? They can't. America does not have the money that China has. They don't. This is why they can't match what China is doing in Africa, and they know it. All of the building of infrastructure, America can't match that. They are just coming around to make offers to do infrastructure work now in 2018. But America has been in Africa for centuries and have just been in there raping out the resources and offering nothing to the people. Nothing. But China went in there, although I still don't agree with them being in there, they did at least build up the infrastructure and come up with crafty ways of stealing from the African people. But they now have roads and trains and things that they never had in place before from the Chinese. But I don't excuse the racism that's going on from the Chinese in Africa. I'm deeply opposed to that. But this is pretty much putting in America's face how China has progressed. And their intention is to push you in the background, and they get crowned and labeled as the superpower in the world. And it will happen. It will happen, ladies and gentlemen. America, their debt is owned by China. So, here's more articles. The articles are coming out every single day about China dominating the world. Okay, this stuff would not be coming out if it was not happening. It is happening. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. I'll leave the link to this article in the description box. Wow. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.